The Bucks are not that good. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is great to be here with all of you. 12:01 p.m. here on the East Coast, the 30th of December. A lot of notable birthdays today, including Carson Wentz, Tiger Woods, and of course Gavin's favorite, LeBron James. And as always, joined alongside my co-host, LeBron turns 36, Tiger Woods turns 45, Carson Wentz turns 29. It's an exciting day for birthdays all around December 30th, 2 days before the new year. Join us tomorrow afternoon. We'll be doing a 1-hour special, a year in review. I'm going to try to get some key highlights from some of our debates on the show to show, get some reflections from it, and then, of course, just talk about the year as a whole, because while there were some negatives, we know there's some positives as well. We're going to try to shed as much light on that. But, Gavin, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Zach. Listen, just remember how old is LeBron? 36 now? 35?
36, year 18.
Year 18, 36, that doesn't matter anything. When Michael Jordan was 36 years old, guess how many championships he was about to get? He was about to get his number 6.
He had already had it by that point, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he did? Okay. Well, then,
which I know supports your case, but he went on to play for the Wizards and had some fun there. Being their leading scorer as a part owner of the team. So at some point he'll dress up for Charlotte because they're going to need it.
But how you doing, Zach?
I'm doing good. Look, a lot of NBA basketball last night. It's been so fun to watch. No Thursday night football tonight. Football's not until this weekend. But we have a lot of topics to get through, and so we'll start off today with kind of my opening statement was the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, they got their revenge on the Heat. They broke the record, which was held by the Sixers against the Bucks on Christmas Day last year for 29 made threes in a game. They look pretty good right now, Gavin. Now, keep in mind there was no Jimmy Butler, and I think that the Bucks kept their foot on the pedal a little too long last night. But they play the Heat again tonight. I'm not sure if Jimmy's going to play, but it's a back-to-back in Miami. But I'll be honest here. The Bucks aren't good. Are they going to win 50-some games again? Keep in mind, it's only a 72-game season. That's equivalent to 60 last year. I can see them going 50-22. I can see them finding a way to pull off some victories like that. But look, they're a regular season team. And now with the East getting even more competitive, there's no way they make the NBA Finals. And that's what I mean when I say they're not that good. Okay? 2 years ago, you got stuck by Kawhi Leonard. Last year, Jimmy Butler. This year, you got the Greek Freaks got Kevin Durant to go up against. He's got Kyrie Irving on the Bucks. Even the Sixers this year, if they can be competitive, I can see them giving a possible threat. They matched up well last year against them. No reason they wouldn't be able to this year. The Boston Celtics, when Kemba comes back, even if Tristan Thompson's down low, there's a chance there that they could slow down the Bucks. And, of course, as always, the Miami Heat are going to still be around. So, look, the Bucks haven't gotten much better. I was high on Drew Holiday before the season. I still am. With that being said, it's not enough to be competitive with a lot of these teams in the East. It's not a jab against them necessarily. But when you refuse to get better or you really don't get better in the offseason, you actually get worse because everybody around you, it feels like, is getting better, including teams on the bubble of coming in like Charlotte and even some other teams that are up and coming. I know Washington's not off to a strong start, but they can make a run for the 8th seed as well. So bottom line is this. The Bucks did not show up in the playoffs last year. The year before that, they didn't show up in the playoffs. There's no reason to believe they're going to this year. Gavin, as we say, big respect to their coach, but he's a regular season coach at best, and so is Giannis as a player.
Well, Zach, when you talk about last night's game, Jimmy Butler wasn't there, but I don't think what was going on last night, Jimmy Butler could do anything about that. Zach, they hit 29 threes as a team. Chris Middleton had 25. Drew Holiday, 24. Dante DiVincenzo, Villanova guy. Shout out to Villanova. He got 17. Brook Lopez, 14. Bobby Portis, 11. DJ Augustine, 10. Zach, it's really rare for a team to shoot that well. Really rare, especially where everything is like the definition of whatever they threw up was going in. They weren't missing a single shot. Now, do I think they could do this on a day-to-day basis? No, I don't believe that. Zach, we know how shooting is. You live and die by the three. This has Golden State, ask Houston. Ask Houston. But to go back to your question, are the Bucks that good? I don't believe so either. Zach, I agree with you. Look, when you look at how Milwaukee plays in the playoffs, they're a great regular season team, but they're not a great playoff team. The fact that when you see Giannis in the playoffs, he gets exposed. You can't just sit there and score points in the paint. You actually have to be able to shoot the ball. And then who is their best shooter supposedly at times? Chris Middleton. Was that he's never there at all. So I kind of find it hard to believe that the Bucks are going to be any better. And besides, those 8th-seeded teams are going to be from 6 through 8. They're really good. You got Miami. You got Orlando, you got Atlanta, like you said, Zach, the Wizards are they're gonna be better at the end of the year. Zach, those are trap series that could get you at any point in time. And the one thing about those teams I named, and maybe not so much the Magic, but sure as hell Atlanta and Washington is they got people that can go for 40, 50 points.
That's true. Trae Young, Bradley Beal, even Russell Westbrook, who statistically has put up a really fine year so far. They have not lost a game in double digits yet, so don't be deceived by that 0-4 start. I think it's just unlucky, and luck will start turning their way. But like you said, if you can't shoot, you're not going to be able to perform. They had an insane night shooting, 144 points, kept Miami under 100. I'm pretty sure under 90 as well. But look, it's a revenge game. It's not that big of a deal. Giannis is still a top 5, top 3, arguably best player in the league right now. But again, we don't forget what happens in the playoffs. And that brings up the next question. Are the Bucks the team to beat in the East? Let's go back 3 years ago. All right, they lose in the first round to who? Terry Rozier and the Boston Celtics. They come up and they beat the Sixers. They take Cleveland to 7 games. Okay, that was a pretty good team. No shame in that. Giannis gets better. MVP season. No one can stop him. Runs into Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors, which are a really good team as well. Not much against them, but they were up 2-0, Gavin. 2-0. And they once they went back to Toronto, they came back even to Milwaukee, and they couldn't get the job done at home. So that's pretty bad. And then what do you do the next season? Get a little, you trade Malcolm Brogdon, which I was not very fond of, and now you get eliminated in the second round. Again, Giannis getting exposed. Giannis got hurt late in the series, but Gavin, we knew at that point the series was over, and they end up winning the end of that game. But listen, here's the big thing. You go out and you get Drew Holiday. You try to get Bogdanovich. It falls through. You get Dante DiVincenzo back, which is the plus side of that. And now you look at a good team, but not a great team. Boston beat you opening night. You struggled at some point.
You could say it's a game winner.
Yeah, game winner. I'll give it to them. It was not it should not have been that close. And again, Giannis at the free throw line, he misses some of those shots. This is not anything against Giannis, but you have to build correctly. You need a legitimate threat so that Giannis really can't get double teamed. You know who I'd like to see there right now? The man who's been dancing around gentlemen's clubs and still comes out and drops 44 points. Again, I've not been so high on James Harden the past few weeks, but let's be real here. This is like a quarterback going out partying, doing all these things, and then coming out and dropping 350 yards and 4 touchdown passes.
The only thing Dwayne Haskins didn't do that, though, sadly.
The end part, you're right. But it's similar. It's like he had the Tom Brady performance and the Dwayne Haskins off the field kind of mix. That's what I see in James Harden right now. And again, Gavin, let's be real. I think either Don pointed this out or something like that, where Anthony Davis had drama in New Orleans. Once he got traded, didn't hear another word from him. So maybe it's not that much of a concern. He does look heavier, James Harden on the court. But if you bring him to Milwaukee, that's going to be the team to beat. At the moment, no. I don't think they're the team to beat. It is Brooklyn, although they did look a little sloppy the other night, even though Kyrie and Kevin Durant put up great numbers. That's my only worry is how it's going to happen when they start facing adversity. But at the moment, I do have to give the respect to Brooklyn, who I was not high on before the season, and I'm still skeptical about, but they're still the team to beat, not the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, Zach, the Bucks aren't the team to beat this year, and their reign of terror, I want to say, at the top of the East is kind of over for right now. Zach, let's go back to the year the 76ers got bounced out of the playoffs by literally a lucky bounce. Zach, you're up 2-0 versus the Raptors, and what happens? You don't win another game after that. You end up losing 4-2, or it might have been 4-3, but I'm pretty sure it's 4-2. Zach, and then the next year you get bounced out by what? Kyrie Irving in Cleveland? Or no, excuse me, that's wrong. You get bounced out by Miami. That's what happened. Zach, the Bucks, it's the same story in the playoffs for the Bucks. You're a great regular season team. You're unstoppable. And when you get in the playoffs, defense gets tighter, especially in the post. And what happens is that you're not that good anymore. You're really not. So do I think are the Bucks the team to be in the East? No. I think the team of Brooklyn they're having a little skid right now, but it's not a big skid. They're still in games. Zach, Kevin Durant missed a game winner, and then you lose by 3 to 4 points the next night without your stars. Zach, I don't see the Bucks being the team to beat. And I would put Brooklyn first, and then you could maybe look at Boston and say, well, they don't have Kemba Walker yet. They could be another team to beat. I still bet the field versus the Bucks any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, look, this team, I'll tell you who this team reminds me of. It reminds me of the Toronto Raptors from 2012 to 2018. Every year, 1 seed, 2 seed, you go out there, you play really well, and then you lose to either Cleveland or I don't know who else they'd end up losing to. But here's why it reminds me of them. They do well in the regular season. You have a great coach in Dwayne Casey. And then, Gavin, what happens 2 years ago? You fire the guy who won Coach of the Year. You bring in his assistant, Nick Nurse, to be the head coach. And then on top of that, you trade DeMar DeRozan, your all-star. All right? And I'll tell you what. You know what happens when you do that? It's a high risk. Why? Because you just trade for a guy in Kawhi Leonard who was hurt. First of all, come off an injury when he was with the San Antonio Spurs. That's number one. Number two, he's on a one-year deal. It's a rental. And let's be honest here. Kawhi Leonard, no offense to Toronto, no offense to any team with that, but it's not a favored destination, especially when you're Kawhi Leonard and you can go pretty much wherever you want as long as they are able to give you the money that you asked for. And that ended up happening. He went to the Clippers in Los Angeles. Now, we know how last year ended, but he's still there for at least another year or two. And I'm sure he'll sign an extension on top of that because he's from San Diego. He wants to be near home. But Toronto knew every year we can be the 1 seed. We can win 60 games. We can do all these things. We can have Coach of the Year. We can have DeMar DeRozan be a good scorer. But they fired their head coach and they traded their superstar for a rental. And guess what happens? They win the NBA Finals. Kawhi leaves, yes. But was that finals worth it instead of being just not good enough every single year? So that's the next thing. Could we see Milwaukee ship out everybody but Giannis pretty much to try to get James Harden or something like that so that they can avoid being in that similar situation? Because I see their like Drew Holiday in that backcourt or even Chris Middleton. You can consider that the DeMar DeRozan, and then you can look at Giannis, who's, I guess, Kyle Lowry, the guy who's loyal, the guy who wants to be there. Now, yes, very big differences between the two of them. I don't mean skill set or anything like that. But they're loyal, they're there, they're locked in. You may have to make that move. You may have to fire your head coach after the season, despite going 60-22, which they did last year. But that might be what it takes, Gavin, in order to be able to get over the hump, and it might be requiring James Harden, which only has another year or two on his contract, 2 years, I think, to be exact. It's a rental, but you may have to take that risk. Gavin, do you see some similarities between both Toronto back earlier in the decade and Milwaukee now?
Well, Zach, when you talk about Toronto, you talk about what they did. Remember, Zach, they had a GM that was willing to take a risk. Masai Ujiri. No one talks about his willingness to take a risk and ultimately be able to do what he did. And you fired a coach that was head coach of the year and you're a star player, and you go out and get a guy that hasn't really played and you know how it's going to be. And you get a guy, Nick Nurse, and you win the championship next year. Now, Zach, if you ask me, there was no Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson goes down. Ultimately, that would be a different story.
And LeBron James, but continue.
Or Zach, that's not the point right now. You're talking about Kawhi.
You're just pointing out superstars that missed some time, and
but Zach,
they would have run into Cleveland if LeBron was still there.
The complex of that series changed when Klay Thompson went down. We know that. You know that. They were going to go.
They were up. They were up 3
They go to 7. Second, they go to 7. The Warriors win in 7. I'm just saying that.
They're up 3-1. Kevin Durant plays for a minute. It's 3-2, and then that last game, Klay gets hurt, and then they lose. They did have the lead at that point. Golden State did hold the lead at that point, which could have made it a 7-game series, but
they win in 7. I believe, and I stand by that. They win in 7.
You think Golden State would have won in 7 if Klay Thompson?
Yes.
Okay.
Klay Thompson was on another level. But Zach, you go out and you make these risky moves, and well, sadly, he wasn't able to even get on the floor to celebrate with his team. That pisses me off to this day. But Zach, looking back at that, and then looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't see them doing that because that's such a big risk. You get rid of almost you get rid of your star player. In this case, you get rid of Middleton, which I think that would be a great thing. You get rid of Middleton, you fire your coach. Yes, Zach, they won 60 games, but he's not taking them to the next level. Zach, we said the same thing about Brett Brown. Yeah, he was great for the rebuild, but when it came to the playoff time, we didn't want him here. You have to be able to go. If your coach is not taking you to the next level, so may be it. Zach, look at Michael Jordan. He had Doug Collins, right? Doug Collins got him in the playoffs. Again, what happened? He didn't take it to the next level. Next year, you get Phil Jackson from the assistant bench, and then you go out, and then he takes you to the next level. Ultimately, you win.
Similar with firing Mark Jackson, replacing him with Steve Kerr.
Exactly. He takes you to the next level and win. Same thing in LA. Well, first of all, Luke Walton was just straight out horrible. But you go out and get Frank Vogel, he takes you to the next level and he wins. Zach, that's sometimes the meta. It's really rare for a coach to start and finish. I mean, look, like you made a great point. Look at the Warriors. Had Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson did have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. But guess what? He didn't take them nowhere. You get Steve Kerr. You go out that year to get Steve Kerr. They go out and win. It's just a thing. It's
And
literally.
I guess the Clippers are thinking the same way, firing Doc Rivers, having Teron Lue be the head coach. It's a pattern that we've seen in the league, and the Bucks might be next.
Well, I believe so, and I think Brad Stevens sadly is another great coach, but he hasn't taken you to the next level yet.
We'll have to see how that rolls out. It's another team that could potentially be on the hot seat, depending on how their playoffs pretty much go. It's only one team every year that wins the NBA Finals, which means 29 other teams have at least a few question marks going into that next season. With that being said, coming up after this, Gavin's Golden State Warriors. Rumors are circulating of a Draymond Green possible trade and a possible Golden State tank until Klay Thompson is healthy next year. We'll get some of Gavin's thoughts on that coming up. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. All right, Gavin, it's time for a reality check. As much as we love Steph Curry, at least you do, I have a lot of respect for him. I still think he is better than Damian Lillard. I think that at least he needs to remind some people of that. They try to get some talent this year. It's not paying off. Andrew Wiggins has not looked anywhere near the part. We know how Kelly Oubre Jr. has looked with any non-dunk attempt. We know Klay Thompson's hurt. Draymond Green is yet to return to the court, which I think is a big difference maker. And then I think in addition to that, James Wiseman has actually been the only guy that's fared out. Listen, you had the second overall pick last year. If you're going to trade Draymond Green, if you're going to tank, I don't know what more you're looking to really get, especially when this college season is going to be cut up as well. It's going to be hard to see some things. But Gavin, what are some of your reflections? Are they going to try to tank? Are they just going to try to play and just see where they end up, hoping that Draymond helps fix their problems? Or is there something else that Golden State needs to do to get back to that championship caliber team in a very competitive West?
Well, first of all, Zach, they won it with Draymond Green before, with Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and the crew. So I wouldn't trade anybody. I would wait to see what it looks like with Klay Thompson comes back, with a James Wiseman, with a Draymond Green, with maybe a Kelly Oubre. I think they go out and get maybe somebody else, maybe like a low tier small forward, or excuse me, a high quality small forward, not max dollars, but a nice high quality one. The words, ladies and gentlemen, it's not here with me today. But when you look at the Warriors, Zach, they're in a great spot. Zach, they won 2 straight after losing their first 2. Zach, Steph Curry was dropping 31 plus points, 31 last night, 37, 36 the other night. There's no real reason to trade with Draymond Green. Now, if you wanted to get rid of Draymond Green, I would do it the year before Kevin Durant left, because Zach, we all know how that went down. Some things were said. Kevin Durant didn't take it. He didn't like what was said, and ultimately that was the end of Kevin Durant and Golden State. There was some other.
I still think he leaves before all that's even said.
I honestly believe that. Zach, I was watching a report and all that fun stuff on Kevin Durant. He said that was part of it.
I remember he said it was part of it. I think Kevin Durant was going to leave.
Yeah. I think that was part of it. And I think also, too, telling him the injury he had in the finals is also another major factor. But, Zach, there was a chance. If you could choose Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, you should have chose Kevin Durant. You chose Draymond Green. I don't think the Warriors viewed that as a choice, but I think ultimately from the outsiders looking in, for me, that's what the choice was. Draymond Green used to be a great player, and I'm not saying he's not a great player, but offensively he's declined. I guess you don't have to when you had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson shooting the ball. All you got to do is just grab the rebounds and put it up. But Zach, if Draymond Green can go back to the year where he got unruly ejected and suspended in the finals, and we all know how that went down. You know, LeBron cries and Draymond Green misses a game. But if Draymond Green can get back to that style of play, that Draymond Green, with the defense he has. Remember, Zach, he's a couple of defensive players of the years. Don't forget that. I think
also has had a triple-double without having at least 10 points.
Exactly. Zach, if you get rid of Draymond Green, you better get something nice in return. That's all I have to say.
And what would you consider nice in return?
If this is Draymond Green from 2017, I could see going out and get like a Blake Griffin, like a star caliber type. I think the best you can get is like a LaMarcus Aldridge and a high-quality person.
I mean, possibly. Look, I mean, that 4 spot is pivotal for them. Pascal is not fit in that spot, at least with the starters. I think Draymond Green is very underrated as an essential part of that Warriors run over the years. Whether or not, as a Warriors fan, you might be
defensively, he was the heart and soul.
And so, not like I'm saying, as far as whether or not you like how him and Kevin Durant reacted to each other, you know they don't win those rings without without Draymond Green. I'm sorry. I mean, him being out of a game and LeBron and Kyrie combined for 82 points. I mean, that's what happens. So I think that when he comes back, some problems will be fixed. I'd like to see their problems get fixed and fight through it. I trust Steve Kerr's a smart guy, has nothing short of experience. Do I think that Golden State can return to championship contention next year with Klay Thompson? I personally don't at the moment. But if they start to blend together, my opinion will change. But at this moment, I can't sit here right now and tell you the current roster plus Klay Thompson and plus possibly a lottery pick is going to be enough to be able to contend with the Warriors, contend with the Clippers, contend with the Nuggets.
The blasphemy that just came out of that sentence, Zach, and here's why. You're telling me the best shooter in the world, and I don't care, Ray Allen, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Steph Curry.
I'll agree with you. Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time.
And you're telling me arguably another top 5 shooter. I don't know if you guys want to say second best, but Klay Thompson is elite. Steph Curry is all that. You're telling me they can't make a run in the West next year?
Top 5 seed? No. Right on that fringe of a 5-6 and maybe second round elimination. They don't have what it takes anymore, Gavin. They're older. I'll start with that. They're older. All right. Steph Curry's not that assist kind of guy that Draymond Green is. So Draymond's going to need to return to his younger self, which I don't see happening. And that talent really needs to mesh together. If you're sitting here right now and you're telling me you're starting 3 and Kelly Oubre Jr. can't make a shot that's not a dunk, that is going to weigh down enough to keep you out. Now, if you have Michael Porter Jr. there and your starting lineup going into next year with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Michael Porter Jr., who had 30 points last night, by the way, Draymond Green and James Wiseman, top 5 team in the West. No doubt in my mind. But as of right now, I can't see them beating – right now in the series, I can't see them beating the Lakers. I can't see them beating the Clippers. I can't see them beating the Nuggets. I mean, I also could say the Jazz are borderline, but I think they'd beat the Jazz. I think they definitely would have the Jazz, but it would be close. Outside of that, there's a couple other teams that are very, very talented in that division. The Blazers, they would beat the Blazers. I'm not sold on the Blazers in the slightest. But if James Harden's Rockets start blending together, possibly a threat. But right now, they're going to need to get a more dominant small forward. I think we can both agree on that, unless Wiggins and Oubre are able to fare out and be a little better, because right now they do not look so great.
A healthy Klay Thompson and a healthy Steph Curry, and you're going to take the field over them? I don't know about that, Zach.
It's not just the field; it's the defending champions.
Paul George. They'll be defending champions next year. I'll tell you that much.
All right. I mean, you did say that they would not make it to the finals this year, and we all know how that wrapped up.
I didn't know a pandemic was going to help them out.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest finals. But with that being said, we will move on here. The 76ers completing a big-time comeback against the Toronto Raptors last night in Wells Fargo Center, officially being undefeated at home this year. From January 1st of 2020 all the way down, the Sixers did not lose a single game in the Wells Fargo Center. Gavin, what are some thoughts on that?
Was that they did it again, 2 years ago, where they were undefeated at home, and they protect home court well, whether there's fans here or not. But what they don't do well is road games. Zach, it was scary in New York, and personally, I don't like being close to the Knicks at all, not one bit. But also, too, Zach, they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I got to give them respect. They're 3-0. They were 3-0, but now they're 3-1. Zach, last night's comeback showed me a lot of things. One, that the comeback with the younger group of guys and the new guys can actually push together. The bench is good still. Or excuse me, the bench got better. I'll say that. It's not great, but it got better. Seth Curry and the additions, they're working together. Tobias Harris actually came alive yesterday. Joel Embiid had another great game. Ben Simmons, oh my gosh, if Dom was here, he would tear me up, Zach. You know it. You know he would. But, Zach, last night's win was pretty good. You lost, or you were about to lose to a team that, one, doesn't have a win yet, and two, is the defending champs. Pascal Siakam always kills the Sixers with OG Anunoby, okay. And looking at last night's game, Zach, and watching it, just shows that the determination that they're just not going to lose. Because before, the Sixers would just go down easily and just say, forget it, next game. They came back and win. They were down, 10, 11 points at one point, and then come back.
14 early in the fourth, I think.
Exactly.
They were an 11-0 run.
It's like, I believe in the Sixers team this year, especially when comebacks. I know that's just one, but I believe in it.
Yeah, the Raptors shot really well from beyond the arc early. The Sixers did not. The Sixers had a lot of clean, open looks. Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, they all had really good looks early. They just weren't falling last night. It happens. but it balanced out by the end of the game, and Joel Embiid's dominance inside has been phenomenal. He should be a top 5 in the MVP race right now, averaging 29 and 12, 13 a night. Tobias Harris, 25 and 11 last night. Gavin, that's what I said I wanted for him. I want 20 points and double-digit rebounds being at that 4 spot. Here's my only big thing right now. I'm a big supporter of Ben Simmons. I came on the show. We talked with Dom about it. My thing was I wanted to see how they blend together. He needs to be more dominant when he has a good look. He shot like 20-some% last night. Or I guess not shot, attempted field goals because he doesn't shoot. He doesn't need to shoot. But if he has an open look inside, he's so good at finishing. He's so good at just being able to find a way to get to the rim. He's got to do it more. I want to see more aggression out of him. There's going to be a balance. I expect Sam Cassell to keep working with him. I expect Doc Rivers to get more out of him. I don't even want him to shoot. If he can get 18 to 25 points a night and then record 10 assists, 10 boards, a few blocks here and there, and practically eliminate their best player, do it. But he's got to be a little more aggressive. 11 points, 12, 13 points, it's not enough. I'm sorry, it's not. And like I'm sitting here talking with my brother, talking about like how James Harden will be getting you 30-some plus points a night right now. I understand that. When you calculate everything together, probably potential points is going to be going into James Harden's favor. But at the end of the day, again, Ben Simmons brings a lot to the table. He just has to put it all together on every given night.
Aggressive. Zach, aggressive. You said it right there. Aggressiveness. Zach, go back to his rookie year season. Well, second year, rookie year, I guess, whatever you guys want to call it. But Zach, he was aggressive. He was moving around off the ball, getting into the lane, dunking when needed to, playing great defense. Zach, I don't see that this year, especially not right now whatsoever. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I do believe that Ben Simmons will turn it on because that's what he always does. He does turn it on. At one point, Joel Embiid slowly cools off, and Ben Simmons turns it on and flips a switch, and next Ben Simmons is the best player on the team. But Zach, as of right now, Ben Simmons needs to turn it up. Right now, Dom.
Just listen, 15 to 20 a night does a job.
Exactly. Right now, Zach, Dom looks like a genius for wanting James Harden. And I look like an idiot for defending Ben Simmons right now. I really do.
Again, offense isn't necessary, but offense is not his forte as far as scoring, but he has the potential to be a good scorer. So if the opportunity is there, maybe they'll mix up the rotations. Maybe you don't need Dwight Howard on the court at all times. Maybe on the first rotation, Ben stays in, goes small, and let him attack.
Ben, Tyrese Maxey, Shake Milton. That could be nice.
I like it. Again, Matisse Thybulle starting to get some more minutes with Furkan Korkmaz being out, but I think that
yes,
I need to see more from Ben. He needs to go on. He has the potential to go on these runs where he's able to consistently score. But I don't understand right now why he's not. Like, someone's got to tell him to be more aggressive. He doesn't need to shoot. I can't emphasize enough. He can score 20 a night without shooting the ball. He has that capability. Move Joel out someone just for a possession or two every few drives and just see what you can do.
Someone just has to get in his ear and tell him to go.
I think that Doc Rivers, Sam Cassell, things like that, you need to be able to work with him. I can't emphasize enough. Shooting is not the end of the world. Gavin, people are going extreme saying three-pointers. You're just saying mid-rangers. I'm saying not necessarily nothing. I'd like to see more floaters. I would like to see mid-rangers. If you can pull up a three every now and then, by all means, go ahead. But I think, frankly, what this team needs to do, what needs to happen, is that Ben Simmons, when the opportunity is there, attack. And maybe last night was just a bad scoring night. He put up 12, 13, 14 field goals. Just not all went in. He could have probably had 20 last night, but just be more aggressive inside, finish when you can, and if the look is not there outside, if you're going to risk a turnover, just don't throw it out. That's one of the things about being a natural passer, and it has its benefits, also has its setbacks, but offensively, he's got to improve, or else the James Harden argument continues to get stronger.
Daryl Morey believes in you. He said you're part of the future. Ben and Joel are part of the future. If Daryl Morey didn't believe in you and believe that something good can come out of you, he would have got rid of you by now.
I think so. And again, like I said before, my argument when we had Dom on was you have to make sure that these guys don't blend together well before you make an extreme decision like trading Ben Simmons.
Exactly.
All right. So with that being said, coming up after this, we have our good friend coming on to break down the NFC East. What a fun time.
Is he a Giants fan?
He is a Giants fan. We've had Cowboys fans on. We've had Eagles fans on.
We had Washington fans on, by the way.
Have we had a Washington fan on?
We had Dudley on.
That's right. So all right. So we're gonna hit all divisions. So we're gonna talk about that game. Why the Giants, if they win, are going to be rooting for the Eagles on Sunday, And then we'll also break down a little golf. It is one of the greatest of all times, Tiger Woods' birthday today. Of course, we'll have to break that down as well. So everybody stay tuned. It's going to be a fun
on the day. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's going to be a good one.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, just wrapping up our NBA segment. Go back and watch that later if you can. But now we're joined alongside one of our good friends of the show, Ryan. It is great to have you on. For those who missed the little intro, yes, he is a Giants fan, a pretty dang good golfer, and big football fan, big sports fan all around. Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to be on this show. I was so happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming out, and thank you for siding with me about the Steelers. Look, for those who may not know, that's my guy right there when it comes to trashing the Steelers. He got my back at all times and gives me my facts. So Ryan, I appreciate it.
Yeah, those overrated Steelers, we bury them all the time.
Go ahead, Zach.
Without a doubt. I mean, we'll break it down, but like I said in the intro, let's start off with the NFC East. The Eagles, the only team that has been eliminated so far. For those who aren't necessarily familiar with the playoff scenario, it's a win and a little help. So if the New York Giants are able to put up I guess they call it an upset right now against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football becomes very important for you. You'll be putting on your Eagles hat and you'll be doing the Eagles fight song with us. I want to see a video.
I will
put it on here. I want you to promise me that if the Giants do win, can you promise me right now, before I get into our actual question, can you promise me we will get an Eagles fight song chant from you before the game Sunday night?
You can't say nothing bad about the Eagles for the rest of the year, for the rest of next year.
I will see if I can do it.
All right, so let's get a breakdown. I mean, it's been an up and down season for New York.
Mm-hmm.
First question I guess I'll ask you is what are some of your initial thoughts from the season so far and first year head coach Joe Judge?
I like Joe Judge. I think our defense is a lot better. Free agency definitely helped. Bradbury, Martinez, Kyler Fackrell, Logan Ryan just signed an extension of like $30 million for 3 years. So that was good. We got I like our draft picks. Andrew Thomas has had a rough season, I would say, but he did allow 1 sack against Myles Garrett, and that was with 20 seconds to go in the game. So you can't really call it a sack because we already was going to lose. I like our coaches. I think Jason Garrett, the former Cowboys head coach, I think he's a good offensive coordinator. He's a bad head coach, but he's a good offensive coordinator. I think we need a receiver, just like the Eagles do. I think we either need an edge rusher or a dynamic receiver because our playmakers aren't really making plays right now. We only have, I think, 9 touchdown receptions this year. I think Jones is a good quarterback. I like our coaches. I think we're going in the right direction. And I think we're doing well.
Ryan, you brought up
you guys, but we need some help from you guys, and we need a win. We need to beat the Cowboys, which we haven't done since, I think, 2016. But it's 2020. You never know.
Well, Ryan, I just want to let you know, first off, I hope we lose this weekend. I hope the Eagles lose this weekend. So, one, you and the Cowboys can't go because it would warm my heart just to see a depressed Giants fan and sad Cowboys fans all over the nation. But, Zach, he talked about Daniel Jones. Now, the reason why I bring this up is yesterday or 2 days ago, the news broke out that Dwayne Haskins was released. Now, Ryan, you're in our class, and we saw the stats of Dwayne Haskins. And your Giants took a lot of heat for drafting Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. What was your reaction to the releasing of Dwayne Haskins at first?
At first, I was surprised because he was a first-round pick. I think he was drafted 15th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, he was first-round pick, and he got drafted, I think, 2 years ago. So you don't really have anything on him. You don't know anything about him. But the games that he did play, I would say personally he did not deliver. I mean, he has the same amount of touchdown passes as interceptions. I think it's like 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I don't think they should have cut him because I just don't think so. But they should have kept him. They should have trained him up. They should have given him another year, maybe as a backup, but I hope he goes somewhere. I don't hate the guy. I don't like Ohio State. That's where he came from. But I think he'll be good in like Seattle or something as Russell Wilson's backup.
What is that?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, it was a tough situation from the start. They wanted Jones. I'm pretty sure they anticipated that New York would draft Haskins and they would be able to take Jones. So from the start, Coach Roy didn't want him there, and then now you have a new coach who has no investment in him whatsoever. He wasn't there when he was drafted, and so it's not. I wouldn't say it's. I think you put it the same way. It's not necessarily surprising that he wasn't the starter at some points, especially later now in the season. But to be cut, I think definitely was a message that was intended to be sent out. I'm not necessarily sure the full delivery of it, but can I see him being a backup in this league? I mean, I hope he gets another opportunity. I think he definitely was not put in the
I want
best.
to be like Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, I mean, same way with Johnny Manziel, but unfortunately Manziel not getting another opportunity. I hope for Haskins, just a younger guy. He only played 1 year at Ohio State, only one season as under center there, and he had a pretty good year there.
50 touchdowns, right, Zach? 50 touchdowns, what, one or two interceptions?
Something along
Yeah,
those
like
lines.
50 touchdowns and a few interceptions, but it was a great college year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's just going to be how it pans out, where they can get some of the support, and where he'll end up. It'll be a fun one to look at. I do think he does get another chance. Again, that's just pending how some teams decide to look in the offseason, possibly like Jacksonville, or even New York, who are going to draft quarterbacks this year that could put him back to maybe reunite Justin Fields with his former mentor and Dwayne Haskins. That'd be a fun one to watch in New York, which we assume they're going to take him. That's my next question, though, and both you can answer this. Ryan, you can go first, and then Gavin, I'll get you. What does it how does it affect the draft stock at all of Justin Fields, knowing that an Ohio State quarterback, whether or not we personally view it as one, so far looks like it was a bust?
I don't think it affects him. I think Fields is a good quarterback. I know Mr. Weichert wanted the Panthers to take him, but since the Panthers beat Washington, they dropped, I think, 4 places in the draft, so their chances are very slim now unless they trade up for Justin Fields. But I think Fields is a good quarterback. I think he has a thumb injury, so that might drop him a little bit because of his durability. But other than that, I think he's a good quarterback.
Well, first of all, if you're anyone in that league, you can't base one guy off of another. Zach, that's basically me basing Baker Mayfield and looking at Kyler Murray, like, oh, you're going to be another Baker Mayfield. You can't do that. It's like they're two different people. Yes, they came from the same school. Yes, they played the same position, but they're two different people. And Justin Fields has a nice, sweet record to show for it. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. Same thing with Deshaun Watson did. Same thing with, who else came out? Who else? And same thing with Kyler Murray. Zach,
There was Jalen Hurts too from Alabama.
and Jalen Hurts from Alabama, Oklahoma too. You can't base off what one guy's mess up is. But I will say this, Zach. Justin Fields is not going to New York. He's not going to New York Jets. There's just one thing that I've seen for the past 2 to 3 weeks from Sam Darnold is he goes, "Damn it, we're losing, but I'm not losing my job." That's what the base of it is. I mean, Zach and Ryan, think about it. Sam Darnold in the past 2 games, he's looked pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback.
No, a lot of people have. I'm not big on him, but
I'm
a
not
lot of
either.
people have expressed optimism. In the last 2 weeks, he's a good look. What's the best wide receiver he has? Brashad Perriman.
Mims.
They have one good offensive
Or
lineman.
Crowder.
Their run game is virtually non-existent. Nothing against Frank Gore, but I mean, let's be real here. And the
He's a
O-line
flop.
can't run block. And then, of course, Gavin, we know how the Adam Gase situation is, but he gave up play calling, and now they might be looking better. Does it save his job? No. But potentially whoever's calling plays right now might be calling it next season.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Sam Darnold. He was drafted the pick after Saquon, my running back, and they actually had a mock draft, and they actually said that the Giants might take him in that draft, but we didn't. We took Saquon, and I like Saquon. I don't think Sam Darnold is a bad quarterback. I don't think the Jets are going to take Justin Fields, like all the mock drafts think. I think he might actually take Zach Wilson from BYU.
That does seem like a Jets pick right there. I'm not going to lie. I agree with you, Ryan. That does
If
seem
you're going to draft Zach Wilson, you got to trade back. You don't need to second overall to take Wilson.
I think they either stick with Sam Darnold for another year and draft the offensive tackle Penei Sewell, who's a monster. But they either take Penei Sewell or they take Wilson, or they may take Fields, but I don't think they'll take Fields.
I don't see Fields going to the New York. I see a wide receiver maybe going. Zach, we talk. There's a lot of great wide receivers. Jamar Chase is one of my favorites. I pray we get an LSU wide receiver this year because that's the wide receiver you right now.
Chase.
You got Jamar Chase, you got Waddle, you got Smith. There's a lot of guys out there. But when it comes to the Jets, if you're the Jets, you got to think about what Sam Darnold has done. He has a lot of great spots in his career, and he also had a lot of bad times in his career. You got to separate the good from the bad and see if the good outweighs the bad. Honestly, Zach, I don't see Justin Fields being their selection this year. They're going to go and they could get Micah Parsons. They could get a defender. You could also turn around and get yourself a wide receiver. Like Ryan mentioned, you can go and get yourself a tackle. But Justin Fields is not going to be there. So if you're Mr. Wecker, you could get your wish, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it rolls out. I personally do think that if the Jets sit second overall, there's no way you don't draft Justin Fields. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. I hope Adam Gase is out of there after this year. Not the best for the culture there. We saw how it happened with Jamal Adams, Le'Veon Bell. And at that point, Joe Douglas, I think he's got to make the right decision. I like Joe Douglas as a GM, but he's got to make some good decisions in the offseason. This is the most important offseason to determine whether he'll have his job a few years down the road. But let's take it back now to the New York Giants. You pointed out, Ryan, I'll have two questions for you, but I'll ask the first one. Right. Saquon Barkley, I'd call him a top 5 running back in the league, at least last year. I put him over Ezekiel Elliott at times, and right now I probably do as well. So I'll ask you this question. How do you think Saquon getting hurt impacted the Giants season?
I think Saquon definitely impacted the Giants season because, I mean, if you look at – I don't think Wayne Gallman is a bad running back. He's a good backup.
Great backup.
He's not as dynamic as Saquon. It's like the Titans losing Derrick Henry or something. I mean, like half their offense or most of their offense is their running back. He's that playmaker that can miss broken tackles, miss tackles, and yards after the catch. He's everything. And when your offense is struggling, he can really help the offense with big plays and stuff. But I do think, and he's also really hard to get to the ground too. Can have like two defensive backs on him, and it's hard to get to the ground when your legs are that big, and you're able to move that fast. But even without Saquon, we still have 5 wins, and we beat Seattle without him. But
Ryan, you talk about wins. You talk about wins. Let me ask you. We looked at the record. The Giants are actually better without Saquon than with Saquon. Has anyone ever noticed that?
I did notice that, but I still think we should have him.
I'm just saying.
You can't argue, especially running back. You can't argue necessarily that he wouldn't.
I'm just saying it's a little bit weird that their offense magically becomes just they start putting more points on and start winning more games without Saquon Barkley. I just find it a little bit weird.
I do have a follow-up question to this, and it's a little bit of an interesting one. You took him second overall. That in itself is a lot for a running back. Mm-hmm. Now, he's coming up on what? This is year 3 this year, which means next year they have to talk about either a 5th-year option or at the end of the year, either franchising him or even transitioning him, depending on if they're going to move on from him, or sign him to another contract. Ezekiel Elliott, horrible contract. I'm not even getting started with that one. $90 million.
I deal with it every week in fantasy. You don't got to bring it up.
And then we have Derrick Henry, who took a modest amount less, I think $60 million over 4 years. So I'll ask you this question then. Number 1, what is your opinion unbiasedly about paying running backs? And then number 2, bring your bias in, and let's see, what are your thoughts on extending Saquon Barkley after next season?
Okay, so paying running backs, it's hard to pay. It's hard to give a running back a ton of money. Like, I mean, Mr. Weichert's Panthers paid Christian McCaffrey $16 million a year to sit on the sidelines. No shade on Christian McCaffrey. I like Christian. He went to Stanford. But it's hard to pay a running back unless you're like Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones or even Saquon or Elliott. You have to pay them enough to satisfy them, but you can't overpay them. So when they have like a season-ending injury, you have to pay them $20 million a year, and they don't do anything to contribute to the team. Now, I do think they'll give Saquon an extension because he's a huge part of the offense, but I don't know how big the contract will be.
Well, I don't see Saquon Barkley coming back, and here's why, Zach. I'm gonna be honest. If you're Saquon Barkley, you have to sit down and think about what you've done and what has this organization done for you. You have to think about: do you want to get the money, or do you want to win? And Zach, if you're trying to win, I don't think Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants are a great fit. I think he has to go elsewhere. But if he wants to get the money, I could see Saquon Barkley. Zach, we talk about $90 million for Zeke Elliott. Saquon's going to be a pretty penny because he does it all. I mean, a running back at that size, and Ryan, you could agree or disagree. A running back at that size should not be moving that quick, but also shouldn't have that much power in his legs and his head. So this is a generation once in a kind running back. It's very few you see that. But the guy, I do agree with Ryan said. You have to pay him enough to satisfy him, but not too much where if they have a season-ending injury, it's not going to, you won't look stupid in the long run. That's why I think we talk about Ezekiel Elliott's $90 million. Zach, I know Alvin Kamara just got paid. He deserved more. Okay, you just scored 6 touchdowns. We talk about Dalvin Cook and his holdout. I don't know if he got his contract. I can't remember offhand or not. But Saquon Barkley is going to be a nice $100 million running back. I mean, Zach and Ryan, even though the record might not show what he's done, and I know he's missed a couple games, but think about it. When he's been in there, he's been effective. Unless you're the game 1 of this year where he didn't get anything done, but Zach, they were stacking the box. I know you're not fond of paying running backs that much, but I just think, Zach, I think that's $100 million running back right there.
I mean, you're not wrong about the generational talent part. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. I do have 2 other things I do want to state, and I'll get some of your thoughts after I say. And the first one that I would want to say is that take a look at Alvin Kamara, take a look at Christian McCaffrey. What can they do besides just run the ball? They can be your receivers. And that brings me to my second part. 4-minute drill, Tennessee Titans. Who's on the sideline? Derrick Henry. Because they know they can't do much with him. 4-minute drill, Carolina Panthers. When healthy, McCaffrey will be in the slot, which means he's easy to be utilized. If Miles Sanders can develop, I'd love to see it, but I've not seen it this year. Unless you're a pass-catching back, I'm not giving you Ezekiel Elliott or Derrick Henry money. Now, given that the Titans' entire offense is based around Derrick Henry, you have to pay him, but they negotiated, and they did a really good job with that. 4 years, $60 million, I believe, which is still $15 a year, but he also threw your team into the playoffs, and he's pretty durable. He's proved a lot to that team, and it makes Ryan Tannehill's job so much easier. But for a team like the Giants, who are rebuilding their O-line still, rebuilding their defense, and are bringing in young guys who are going to require extensions, if Dexter Lawrence can develop and fit and look the way he did at Clemson next year, and 2 years down the road and you're in your 5th year, you're going to have to pay him as well. And if Bradbury continues to play really well, and he's going to want more money. And like you mentioned, Logan Ryan. So Andrew Thomas, he could develop. He could have a really big jump into year 2 and can become a top player in this league on the O-line. And so I'll be completely honest. If you are going to pay Saquon, you got to make sure everything else, all your ducks are in a row. Otherwise, it might make you miss out on signing some bigger players in the future. And the best part about that, too, is you're probably not going to need to give Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes kind of money. So he could be a $27, $28 million quarterback a year, and that's actually a good thing. So if I am the Giants and Saquon has a good bounce back year, I would have no hesitation signing him because I know the quarterback position is not going to be signed that much. I don't think Darius Slayton's going to be asking for big money. If you do draft Jamar Chase, you get 4 years before you got to figure that out. I think the Giants are actually, unlike many teams in this league, are actually in a really good position to re-sign their running back. Believe it or not, Gavin, put it on film. I'm defending signing a running back.
I just Zach just might go down as one of our best year moments. You don't understand, right? He was against I don't want to say he's against money when it comes to that, but you don't pay a running back a lot of money, and week in, week out, Ezekiel Elliott proved it. But no, Zach, you're right. Daniel Jones is not going to be a 20, a high contract. He's going to be one of those mid-tier, maybe low to maybe a high tier, but a little high tier. If that makes sense. But
it's above average.
Above average, exactly. But if you're Saquon Barkley, you gotta think the offensive line isn't that great. Well, Hernandez, the left side, Hernandez and Thomas, they're gonna be good in the long run. But there's three other positions. You gotta run behind that garbage. I'm just saying. I mean, so Ryan, I gotta ask you, what do you see the Giants selecting in this upcoming draft?
Who do I see the Giants selecting in this upcoming?
Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Who do you want? Who do you want?
Who do I want? And then I'll say who do I want to draft, and then I'll say who do I think will draft. If I remember correctly, we're either the 8th pick or the 10th pick, and you're the pick right in front of us. That was probably a week ago, but I either want a dynamic receiver like Jalen Waddle. I don't think Devontae Smith will be there because I think Miami will take him. I either want Jalen Waddle, Kwity Paye, Kyle Pitts, or Micah Parsons, or I'll take Russo too, or Gregory Russo from Miami. I think we'll either take a pass rusher, either the 3 that I mentioned, if they're still there, or we need someone on offense because our offense is not scoring any points. I think we've got one of the worst offenses in the league. We've got good playmakers, but we just don't score. I think Evan Ingram's a good tight end. I like Darius Slayton. I like Shepard. I like Golden Tate, the former Eagle. But we also need, and I will have Saquon back. Jones will hopefully improve. And if we put someone out in the wide receiver like a Jalen Waddle, I think he'll be a really good wide receiver for us.
For sure, yeah. And I got 2 more questions for you. The first one is, who do you think is going to win on Sunday between Dallas and New York, based on how they've been playing the past few weeks? Daniel Jones is going to play, right? Is he expected to play?
Yeah, he's going to play, I believe. Who I want to win, obviously, is the Giants. Just for the playoff's sake, I would not mind if Dallas won because I'd love to see Tampa Bay destroy them, assuming the Eagles beat Washington. But so that we can save our draft pick and not draft 19th or something. But I would like to win. I love to beat the Cowboys. Can't stand the Cowboys. They're not even in the East. So I don't even understand why they're in our division. But I would love to beat the Cowboys. I hope we do. I wouldn't mind if we don't. But if we do, I will be praying that the Eagles beat Washington just so we can win the division.
And my final question on this topic, then Gavin, I know you have one more, and then we will get to golf real quick. But Carson Wentz situation. I know you've been similar perspective to me. What as an outsider, what is your whole viewpoint on the whole Carson Wentz situation?
All right, so Carson, I think he's a good quarterback. I think Carson's a good quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts is good too. I think Jalen provided that spark on offense that the Eagles were hoping. It was just too little, too late. I don't think all the Eagles' problems are on Carson Wentz. Now, granted, if the Bucs lose the first game in the playoffs, everybody will blame Tom Brady for it. But it's not all. Everything is not the quarterback's fault. It's partly the O-line. It's partly the receivers. It's partly your coaches. It's a combination of a bunch of things. But I think you guys should have taken Justin Jefferson. I don't understand why you didn't. He's got the 5th most or 8th most yards in the league right now, killing it right now. You guys missed out on DK Metcalf too. Now imagine DK Metcalf, Deshaun Jackson, and Justin Jefferson, that wide receiver core. That'd be tough. But if you guys don't screw up the wide receiver pick this year, I think you guys will be in a good position. You can't cut Carson Wentz, obviously, because the cap hit will be insane. I also don't understand. I was surprised. I was watching the draft last year. I was surprised when you guys took Jalen Hurts, when you guys signed Carson Wentz to what was a 4-year, $90 million deal or something. Somewhere like that. I don't understand the pick.
Plus 60, plus 63 guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't understand the pick when you pay someone that much. It's like Jared Goff signing with the Rams and then them taking like Trevor Lawrence in the draft or something this year. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm not the boss of the Eagles, and I like to root against them. But if we win on Sunday, I'll be rooting for them. First time ever.
See, Zach, you know what would make me happy on Sunday? I'm gonna tell you, and I'm probably gonna say it again at the end of the week. Either if the Cowboys win, and then the Eagles lose, and then and the Cowboys don't get to go to the playoffs. And Zach, guess who wants to come on the show on Monday? Trent wants to come, so I get to give it to Trent on Monday. But you know what also will make me happy too? We go back to school. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is gonna be a PM day, and to give this man the business as well. Even if the Giants win and the Eagles lose, Zach, I pray for the Eagles to lose this weekend. I really do. I genuinely really do. Zach, I don't know about you, but I really want them to lose just because I get the best of both worlds. Whether the Giants lose, I get to laugh at him, or when the Cowboys win, I get to laugh at, or excuse me, or vice versa. It would just make my 2021 off to a great start. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm not going to actively root against my team, but with that being said, it would be fascinating just to see how that day plays out. Because depending on the winner of that game, they'll be locker room watching the TV Sunday Night Football for the Eagles. Maybe they'll put together one final good game. If Alex Smith doesn't play, I don't see the Eagles losing. But again, Eagles being the Eagles, lost to Dallas last week, scored no points in the second half. But just a final part, Ryan, I do want to get to a couple of different things in the PGA world.
All right.
Dustin Johnson, obviously one of the best players in golf right now, has been the number one for over a year. Was not the favorite going into the Masters, but obviously ran away with it at the end, 19 under, tying the record for the most under in a major history. So, or 20, my apologies, yep, 20 under par. So I got to ask you, how do you feel that Dustin Johnson's been this year? What are some keys to success, and is he going to be able to contend for possibly the U.S. Open next year, a few other key majors going into next year?
I think Dustin Johnson's the best. I love Dustin Johnson. He's one of my idols, obviously. I'm a golfer. In case anybody at home doesn't know, I'm a golfer. I love Dustin Johnson. I think he's a great golfer. Now, when he wins by huge margins, 4, 5, 6 shots. He doesn't usually win with 1 or 2 shots. He does on some occasions, but not very often. He's fun to watch. I haven't seen him in person before, but he did go to a college which I want to go to, Coastal Carolina, in South Carolina. That's one of the reasons why I want to go, because I'd be like, I went to the same college as Dustin Johnson did. Maybe I play golf there too. Added bonus.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's definitely he's run away as a favorite. And so another question I want to ask, and the reason I do is because there's such division in the golf world about it. Of course, it's Bryson DeChambeau, breaking barriers, unconventional, the jumbo grips, the 400-yard carry, the single-sized irons, a lot of unconventional stuff, a lot of mockery of him. He's kind of taken that football philosophy, that eat healthy, lift big, all those things, and has tried to bring it to this sport. And he won the U.S. Open. Maybe he silenced some critics that week. Also starts his Masters up with a 3-wood hook into the woods on the 10th. But Let me ask you, what are your honest thoughts on not only how he's trying to change the game, but just how it's working out for him so far in his young career?
I love DeChambeau. I love what he's doing. I would want to look like him, but certainly not as big as him, because if an announcer was saying like, if an offensive lineman was able to swing, that's what they would look like. He looks like a football player right now. He swings out of his shoes. He swings as hard as he can. Now, I don't know if he's on steroids or not. I'd be surprised if he is. Hope he's not. But he drinks like 8 protein shakes a day. Um, he's a beast. He's always been different. He's has the same length shafts in every club. I think they're like the 6-iron length. Now chipping is definitely awkward when you're chipping with the 6-iron length, but and the way he putts too is it seems very tight, but it's fun to watch. I've seen him in person when he was a little guy, but I haven't seen him in person when he's a big guy.
Well, Ryan, my last question for you is, and I'm a Bryson DeChambeau fan myself. Zach, he brings the power, and I love everything about power. And the harder you hit the ball, the better. Zach, you know that when I went against you and I messed up badly on the hole, but it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Round two is coming sometime. Hopefully this weekend, maybe we'll figure it out. But my last question for you, Ryan, is Tiger Woods' son, Charlie Woods. Let's just talk about it. He's 11 years old, and he was doing things better than grown men. So it's like I gotta ask you: do we see a lot of green jackets and championships in Charlie's future?
Now, everything that Charlie's going to do when he's my age or in college or if he ever turns professional, everything is going to be scrutinized because if he doesn't win a U.S. amateur or he doesn't win a U.S. junior amateur, Tiger's won 3 of each, back to back to back of each. Everybody's going to be comparing him to Tiger. It's just like LeBron James's son. I think his name is Bronny or LeBron James Jr. Everything that he does is going to be criticized, critiqued. So if you were the GOAT, like Tiger Woods or LeBron James or Michael Phelps or whoever, and you have a kid, I would not put him in the same sport as me because just for the kid's sake, because if everything you do, everything the kid does is going to be commented on like, oh, Tiger won 82 times and you won 10. So just for the kid's sake, now he might win the Masters. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. He's really good. I saw him at the PNC father-son tournament on TV. He's very impressive. And he's 11 too. I guess it wasn't enough for him to be just Tiger Woods' son. Tiger Woods is my dad. It's not enough for him, but he has to be really good too. But he could win the Masters. I don't really think he will win the career Grand Slam, but you never know. He could.
Yeah,
Got the best coaches in the world.
you're right, Ryan. You said that that if you have a kid, they have to always chase their dad. They can't beat themselves. I know, Zach. I know we talk about Bronny James a lot, and he's having to chase his dad because if Bronny James doesn't win a championship or be someone as his dad, then they're going to look at LeBron James' son as a failure. So, Ryan, you're right. It's going to be hard, but that's the world we live in, as this comment says. And I just honestly, I hope Charlie does go. I think Charlie will be fantastic. I think Bronny James will be fantastic. I don't know about that. You calling LeBron James the GOAT, though? I don't know. We're going to talk about that on the show. But it's Michael Jordan over here. Come on now, Ryan. You know that. But
yeah, Michael Jordan, I obviously think is better, but I was just.
I get it. Yeah, Michael Jordan's going to the league, but all in all, Charlie Woods, I hope he does go. And regardless if he listens to his dad's standards, we got to stop trying to put people in, their father's shoes. It's big shoes to fill, but at the same time, last time I checked, it's not Tiger Woods Jr., it's Charlie Woods. Let's remember.
Yeah, no, Tiger is a 1 in 4 generation golfer. Nobody's able to match him. Not even Dustin Johnson. He's got 20 wins. Tiger has 4 times as much, and I think Dustin's like 30 or 31.
He's in his early mid 30s.
He's in his early 30s, and I think Tiger had 60 wins by that time. So even Dustin or anybody else, if you combined everybody's wins, they might not match him. If you combine the top 10 in the world rankings, you probably won't match Tiger.
His dominance from the 90s up and even the hiatus during his time, the comeback story, it's just been It's been a great ride for us getting to see the back end of it. It's been a blast to watch a guy like him really pull himself back up from where he was on the ground. I remember watching him with the back pains and just hitting a drive and just completely going to the ground at some points and missing cuts, things like that. Yeah, and it's been a heck of a ride for him, and we're getting to watch him be a dad now. And I mean, again, the world, I hate the way that the world puts the pressure on his son, but I do hope to see. I mean, it's just great to watch him be a dad, and it's been a great story so far, and I hope it continues.
Yeah. Yeah, Tiger said when he was at the father-son tournament, he said that it was like a dream or a dream of a lifetime, and it's something he'll never forget. And he's won 82 times on the PGA Tour. He has all the money you can even ask for. He's got contracts and probably commercials and everything, and everybody idolizes him. But playing with his 11-year-old son in a 2-round tournament, was the top of his list.
No doubt. And so I do have one final question for you before we wrap up today's show. Are you a blades player or a cavity back?
I'm a blades player. I play the blades. Yeah,
For those who may not know that, the cavity back, of course, a little hollow in the back, easier to hit for a player like myself, does not require you to strike the middle of the face. The blades, the muscle back, solid back, pretty much. I know that Ryan's a good carrier of the Titleist brand. So if they find our video, sponsor us, pay us. No, just kidding. But Ryan, again, thank you so much for joining us today on the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. You're always welcome back. Had a great conversation. Gavin, anything else you wanted to say?
No, Ryan, thanks for coming out here, and I hope the Giants lose this weekend, and I can just laugh at you on Monday morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome. I loved it.
No doubt, man. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you for watching on today's More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, and we will see you all tomorrow for our New Year's Eve special. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody. See you, Ryan.
Good one. See ya.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we